Wargaming tactics, target priority. That's what we're going to explore in this Tactica vlog. And in pushing this up to my Wargaming tactics playlist, the aim is to cut down that learning curve. The aim is to give you a little bit of thought process, some ideas, some tactica, something to consider. So your next game, whenever that is, tomorrow, next week at the club with your friends, you can go in and win. And we're exploring these ideas independent of system. These are kind of universal wargaming rules. Think of them as opportunities to look on the table. But I frame that within that framework because for target priority, things shift a little bit. It does depend on the system. And I'm going to give a couple of examples of it with wargaming systems that I play. And of course, look at the systems that you play. If we play the same ones, there you go. There's the opportunity. If not, ask those questions, build that checklist. So we have a number of units on the table. You have your units, I have my units. And these might be fixed units, like we're playing historical, chain of command, World War II. Here's what you have at the time period, at the battle. Or most war games, it's a system of points or battle value, or you buy something. You have your battle points, I have mine. You could go with a lot of elite units, minimal stuff on the table. You could go with a flood type mass attack army, somewhere in between. But the idea is within the framework, our units are about the same. So you have your units, I have my units. Now, two things are happening. Two things are happening in the game. The mission, we're playing the mission. I'm trying to play the mission, you're trying to play the mission. That could be destroy your opponent. It could be capture points on the table. It could be secure objectives. It could be navigate to your opponent's deployment zone. Whatever it's going to be, there's the mission. So we're looking to have units accomplish that mission. But at the same time, we're looking to remove our opponent's units, make them weaker every turn, usually through destroying them, but it could be leadership tests, routing them. It could be disabling them. It could be forcing them to withdraw. Again, whatever that is going to be for your system, getting them off the table. And being a war game, I'd say 99% of the time, it's destroying them off the table, delivering that force of dice. That does two things. It prevents them from accomplishing the mission themselves, and it prevents them from removing your units trying to accomplish the mission. So this leads into the framework of target priority. What do you shoot? What do you target? What do you blow up? That's what we're going to explore. Now, the first question is this. Do I shoot at a unit and destroy a unit completely, or do I bring it down below to the point where it can do anything? Really quick, we explored this idea of dice mechanics. If I have a unit that can fire 10 laser rifles, 10 shots, maybe 7, 8 are hit, 4 do some damage, 2 might kill, right? There's a certain kind of curve to that. If I destroy that unit and I fire at that unit and I take it down to 2 laser rifles, what are 2 laser rifles really going to do on average? 1 will hit and then probably no damage to the unit it's shooting at. So sometimes you look at, I want to destroy a unit, remove it off the table, or I just need to bring it down to the point where it can't do anything else. It can't effectively contribute to the battle anymore. What this means is you can destroy more units faster, bring them down faster. Now, when do you do either one? Okay, well, a game like Battletech, generally speaking, I want to shoot at the unit and the mech, destroy it, get it off the table. Because even if I bring your mech down to the point where the arms are blown off, the fusion engine's leaking, gyro's shot, you've got no weapons left, right? Literally, you could be on one leg, no weapons left, can't do anything, but it's still there for initiative. Initiative in Battletech determines based on your units, my units, who moves first, who moves second, when and where you move. Initiative is big because as soon as you start losing units, then your opponent can outmaneuver you because they don't have that initiative point. So what we see with that is the fact that I want to eliminate units. I don't want to leave them that. Other games like Chain of Command with a unit, when you bring it down to a certain point and it has shock and it breaks and it's standing there, you can effectively ignore it. If there's a commanding officer, they might be able to rally it, but at a certain point, the unit is broken, going to the ground, and effectively out of the game. So I don't need to focus on eliminating that. Other wargaming systems, in terms of capturing objectives, if a unit has one model left and it runs up on that hill and plants the flag, doesn't matter if it's one model or 100 models, it captures that objective. I look at a skirmish game God tier, right? The champions, it doesn't matter how many wounds they have, they can plant a flag and capture objectives. So you need to eliminate them. So within that framework, sometimes you need to eliminate a unit. Sometimes you want to bring it down to just enough where it can no longer contribute to the game and then move on to the next. It's efficiency. Target priority within that framework. I want to go after the weakest units. I want to start removing stuff right away. The easiest units that I can target, that I can eliminate. The reason for this is, first of all, it's going to shift momentum, right? If we've got 10 units on the table, whatever they are, 10 units, turn one, I blast away 3. And maybe I damaged a little bit number 1 after that, but I blast away 3 units. Right away, you're like, this is turn 1. What the heck just happened, right? I want to be able to target and eliminate the weakest units possible, get them off the table. That's going to counter that momentum, right? That's going to build that momentum. That's going to shift my opponent, ideally thinking, okay, here's the tactic. I'm going to go here. I'm going to refuse flank. I'm going to move up here, to now going, what the heck just happened? Put them in defensive mode, active versus passive type player. The other reason I'm going to do this is it just starts removing dice off the table. Any unit, in theory, can destroy any unit if it rolls enough dice at it. I can have a super powerful, monstrous unit and tons of conscripts that, like, I have to roll multiple 6s to do anything when I attack. But if I'm rolling 60 dice, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to get it. So just removing volume of dice is so important. And I pushed up volume of dice to go more into that. Into the Wargaming Tactics playlist, you want to explore and understand that idea. Absolutely. Remove what you can. Now, what this means is, of course, location. Think about the gaming table. If there's some weak units in the backfield and I can't effectively get to them, then I'm not going to try and overly target them. Or if there's a unit sitting somewhere that's going to take me out of the game, I'm not going to target that. I'm looking for weak units, descending order, from the center of the table, radiating out, and what I can target. Now let's talk about the opposite end on that. These super powerful, killy, Death Star, unstoppable, amazing units. Maybe you have a few in your army yourself. The elite units. Ignore them. Don't target them. These units often have certain synergies where they're super armor, or they've got magic up, or they've got shields up, or they've got so many hull points, where you're like, turn 1, I shot my entire army into your super unit. I did a little bit of damage, but it's still up. And then your opponent counters and removes 2 or 3 of your units. Sometimes these are a bait trap. Sometimes they're out there to force you to fire at and deal with. Now, a good elite unit will go after and try to gobble up units that are inferior. We see this idea in certain systems where I send out my unit and it just starts smashing all of your units, my elite unit. You're like, I can't stop this thing. So you throw more at it. You throw more at it. You throw more at it. And then you're looking and saying, wait, I've got 70% of my army going up against 10% of Fritz's army. That's crazy. So these elite units, how do we deal with them in terms of target priority? Well, if you have an elite super killy Death Star type unit and you throw it against my elite super Death Star killy unit, 2 things are going to happen. 3 things are going to happen. 1, we're going to self-destruct. We're both going to smash into each other. It's going to be a glorious battle, and we're both going to kill each other. Or if you win, you're going to be so beat up and so messed up that it effectively can't do anything else for the rest of the battle. Think about the points that you paid for that unit. Most of these elite units are very, very expensive in terms of points and abilities and what you're trying to do. So your elite unit, Super Death Star Killy unit, you're going to send out and try to gobble up my regular troops, my fighters, my whatever on the table. And with yours, I'm going to try and tar pit it. I'm going to just try and tie it up. I'm going to try and get it and run around. If I can't destroy it, what can I do to nullify it? So in Wargaming, a tar pit is where you have a unit that Maybe it does a lot of damage. Maybe it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's resilient. Think about like a unit with 50 conscripts and a sergeant who makes them fearless, right? Just something in the narrative where it's like never going to break or never going to do anything. Or in BattleTech, 20 infantry stands. And you attack the unit, you throw it at the unit and you engage the unit, you're probably not going to win. But it's going to tie that up, literally tar pit it, literally keep that Death Star killer unit in place 2, 3, 4, 5 game turns. And eventually you lose your unit. Okay, I lost one, but I tied up your entire Death Star unit for most of the game. So you never want to go head to head. You just want to look to tar pit it. Target priority is important because, again, going back to the mission, I'm trying to play the mission and you're trying to stop me. The way I stop you is by getting mission objectives for myself and removing your units so you can't get those mission objectives.